They lied about a massacre to protect a kingdom that never cared. They sacrificed one village, a little girl's entire family, and called it strategy. So she found a flower that brings back the dead, and instead of saving her people, she decided to turn the whole kingdom into a graveyard. This is Ashin of the North, the most terrifying origin story in Kingdom. The story begins not in the glittering palaces of Joseon, but in its forgotten, troubled north. It is a time of shadows and fear. The Japanese threaten from across the sea, and the kingdom's northern frontier is a lawless, tense buffer zone. Here, along the Yalu River, live disparate tribes known as the 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝗲. Among them are the 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲𝗲, a fierce clan split by a border. One half lives in Joseon, the other in the lands now controlled by Ming China. The Joseon king uses the 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲 as border scouts, loyal tools in a land that despises them. They are outsiders, never accepted by the kingdom they serve. In this world of neglect and whispered threats, we follow a young girl named Ashin. She moves through a dense, sunless forest, entering a deep, ancient cave. Its walls are covered in primitive artwork depicting hunters, beasts, and a strange, distinctive flower. This place holds secrets. Meanwhile, in the same forest, a deer grazes peacefully. It comes upon a plant bearing peculiar purple blossoms and curious leaves, identical to the flowers in the wall carving. The deer eats them and continues on its way, but within moments it staggers, collapses, and dies, its body convulsing. Moments later, its eyes snap open again, but they are now milky white and vacant. The deer rises, not as itself, but as something agitated and unnatural. It hears rustling in the bushes and charges toward the sound with a predatory rage it never possessed in life. From the shadows, a tiger pounces, killing the resurrected deer and devouring its flesh. Soon after, the tiger too falls, only to rise again with the same dead white eyes. It has become a monster. All of this, the plant, the death, the resurrection, is depicted in the cave paintings Ashin is studying. She pieces together the horrifying truth. This rare flower holds the power to bring the dead back to life, but they return not as themselves, but as ravenous, aggressive creatures. It is a cursed resurrection. Elsewhere on the border, a unit of Joseon soldiers patrols the woods. They stumble upon a grim sight, a pile of over a dozen corpses. Their commander, the shrewd and ambitious 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃, arrives to investigate. He notes the unique tattoos on the bodies, marking them as 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲 warriors. Among the debris, he finds a single valuable pearl, but his eyes fixate on another clue, a distinctive arrow fletched with a specific pattern of feathers. He knows who uses such arrows. The news of their massacre will spread like wildfire, threatening to ignite a war with their brethren across the river. To contain the crisis, 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃 orders his men to the nearest village. That village is Ashin's home. It is a place of poverty and humiliation. We see her elderly grandfather, �흔𝗏, a kind and broken man, butchering meat for a disdainful noblewoman's servant. When the servant slips, �흔𝗏 helps him up, an act of simple decency that only earns him the noblewoman's contempt. She spits on him, throws the meat on the ground, and leaves. �흔𝗏, swallowing his pride, picks up the soiled meat to share with his hungry family. This is the world Ashin returns to. A world where her people are spat upon, and survival is a daily struggle against both hunger and disrespect. Ashin returns to their humble hut, her shoes caked in the mud of the forest. Inside, the situation is dire. Her mother is gravely ill, burning with fever. In this impoverished, marginalized village, no doctor will come to help people like them. Desperate, Ashin reveals to her grandfather, 𝗏𝗏, why she was in the woods. She whispers of a legendary plant called the resurrection flower that she saw depicted in the cave. She believes its power could heal her mother, but 𝗏𝗏 reacts with fear, not hope. He warns her that even seeking such a forbidden plant is a crime punishable by death. Their people cannot afford to draw any more suspicion. Their tense discussion is interrupted by the arrival of Commander 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃 and his soldiers. The entire village bows in subservience. In private, 𝗏𝗏 presents the commander with humble gifts, furs and trinkets, pleading for his help to relocate their family to the city, away from this harsh frontier. 𝗵𝗿𝗄𝗃 coldly dismisses the gifts and delivers devastating news. The 15 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗲 scouts found dead were killed by the river, not by an animal. He commands 𝗏𝗏 to spread a specific lie throughout the village. He must say the men were killed by a tiger. 𝗏𝗏 is confused and frightened, but the commander insists. This lie, he says, is necessary to prevent a tribal war and to secure the recognition 𝗏𝗏 so desperately wants for his people. With a promise that his wishes will soon be granted, 𝗵𝗍𝗃 leaves. The commander's next visit is not to a village, but to a fortified camp. He meets with the leader of the rogue �11𝗃𝗲 tribe from across the river, a ruthless man. 𝗵𝗍𝗃 presents the pearl found on the corpse. It is a trinket from the leader's own hat, left at the scene. The message is clear. 𝗵𝗍𝗃 knows this leader ambushed and murdered the 15 Joseon-aligned urchins. It was a brutal power play within the tribe. The commander issues a thinly veiled threat. If this man's actions bring war to Joseon's border again, his protected status will be forgotten. He will be treated as an enemy. Back at the army headquarters, the corpses of the 15 men are laid out. A keen soldier points out the truth 𝗵𝗍𝗃 already knows. The bite marks on the bodies were made after death. They were killed by humans, by swords and arrows, and then animals scavenged the remains. The commander acknowledges this, but reveals his real fear. If the �11𝗃𝗲 tribe learns their men were murdered by their rivals, and not by a beast, it will trigger an immediate bloody vendetta. With the Japanese threat looming, Joseon cannot afford a war on its northern border. The official story must stand. A tiger did this. To erase the evidence, he orders all the bodies burned. We then see the wrath of the rogue �11𝗃𝗲 leader. Enraged by 𝗵𝗍𝗃's warning, he takes out his fury on innocent Joseon villages, slaughtering civilians and burning homes in a ruthless display of power. He is a man who sows terror without a second thought. Meanwhile, in Ashin's village, 𝗤𝗏 reluctantly agrees to spread the commander's lie about the tiger. Ashin, intuitive and distrustful, argues against it. But her grandfather, burdened by his hope for a better life, goes to a neighboring village to tell the tale. There, he is met with skepticism and open mockery. One man, whose brother was among the dead, confronts 𝗤𝗏. He demands to know if the tiger story is true, and threatens to hunt 𝗤𝗏 down and kill him if it is a lie. The weight of the deceit and the danger it brings settles heavily on the old man's shoulders. Back at home, the next morning brings no relief, only a deeper crisis. Ashin's mother's condition has worsened dramatically. A young girl says she needs a doctor, but Ashin knows the bitter truth. No doctor will come. With a heartbreaking resolve, she instructs her younger sister to care for their mother and siblings. Then, driven by a daughter's love and a desperate, forbidden hope, Ashin turns and walks back into the dark forest. She is going to find the resurrection flower, no matter the cost. Deep in the forest, Ashin finds what she seeks. In the secret cave, she locates a living resurrection flower. But the ancient warnings on the wall are clear. If you revive the dead, you will pay a steep price. The flower is not a gift, it is a cursed contract. She takes it, hoping its power can save a life without demanding one. Meanwhile, Commander 𝗵𝗍𝗃 launches his staged tiger hunt. He gathers soldiers and villagers, including some �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 tribesmen who have secretly joined the group, intending to find the beast and kill it to legitimize his lie. The plan quickly goes awry. The hunters find tiger tracks, but an experienced tracker notes something is wrong. Tigers fear the sound of drums, yet this one seems to be drawing closer, not fleeing. A low growl rumbles through the trees. The zombie tiger, with its milky white eyes, bursts from the foliage and attacks with unnatural ferocity. It tears through the hunting party. 𝗵𝗍𝗃 orders a retreat, but the �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 tribesmen, recognizing this as their chance for real vengeance, ignore him and advance. The commander follows them into a grassy clearing where the tiger attacks the �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 men. 𝗵𝗍𝗃 acts, throwing a spear and killing the beast. To prove a point, a �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 soldier cuts open the tiger's stomach. Dark blackish blood oozes out, proof the animal was already dead before it attacked. The soldier confronts 𝗵𝗍𝗃. If a tiger killed their men, where are the bones in its stomach? The commander drops the pretense. He admits he knows the �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 were murdered, but he will not be blamed for a tribal feud. The soldier vows revenge before leaving. The commander's deception is unraveling, and he has just made a powerful enemy. As Ashin hurries home with the flower, she passes the same clearing and sees the dead �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 soldier, killed by 𝗵𝗍𝗃's distinctive feathered arrow. She doesn't understand the context, but the image of the arrow is seared into her memory. Back at her village, her younger sister waits anxiously. Suddenly, a hail of arrows darkens the sky. It is an attack. The rogue �11𝗃𝗲𝗏 leader has made good on his threat. His warriors swarm the village, slaughtering everyone with brutal efficiency. Ashin's family, her sick mother, her siblings, her grandfather are all massacred. Their bodies are piled together in a horrific mound. Ashin arrives home to find a scene of utter annihilation. Her entire world is gone, reduced to smoldering ruins and the grotesque pile of her loved ones. She collapses, screaming in a grief beyond words. This is the price. The only path she sees from this abyss is to the man who promised protection. Stumbling, heart shattered, she makes the long journey to the nearest Joseon military outpost to find Commander 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗲. She falls at his feet, a broken girl begging for justice, for revenge against the �11𝗍𝗲 who destroyed her life. Ashin, trembling with trauma and fury, she demands to know why the �11𝗍𝗲 attacked and pleads with him to send his soldiers for vengeance. The commander offers no army, only cold, empty pity. He says he will take care of her, and then exiles her to a life of servitude. She is sent to live in a squalid stable at a remote guard post, forced to tend to animals and wash the soldiers' laundry. At night, she shivers in the cold, her mind replaying the massacre on a torturous loop. Her grief hardens into a single burning purpose: revenge. Years pass. The helpless girl is gone, replaced by a hardened young woman. We see her now, an expert archer, practicing relentlessly in the woods. One day, while hunting a deer, she is attacked by a wild boar. She fights it off with skill and ferocity, a testament to her survivalist transformation. But back at the stable, her life is one of degradation. A soldier tries to assault her, but Ashin is no longer a victim. She presses a knife to his throat and forces him to flee. He threatens that she will pay for this. Her skills catch the attention of 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗲. With the threat of a Japanese invasion looming, he gives Ashin a new, dangerous purpose: to cross the river into �11𝗍𝗲𝗍 territory as a spy. Disguised, she infiltrates their camp to monitor their movements. There, in a hidden hut, she witnesses a horrific scene. A prisoner is being force-fed, tortured, and kept barely alive. When Ashin creeps closer, her blood runs cold. The mutilated, broken prisoner is her grandfather, 𝗍𝗶𝗸𝗲. The �11𝗍𝗲𝗍, after discovering the gift 𝗍𝗶𝗸𝗲 had given 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗲𝗃 on the dead soldier, believed he was the traitor who had conspired with Joseon against them. They captured and tortured him for years. He is a living nightmare of pain. When he sees Ashin, he doesn't beg for rescue. He begs for death. With tears of agony streaming down her face, Ashin is forced to grant his wish, ending his suffering with her knife. She then burns the �11𝗍𝗲𝗃 camp and escapes back across the river, her soul scorched by another unimaginable loss. Back at the Joseon outpost, she watches 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗲𝗃 preparing his troops for war. Her eyes lock onto the arrows in his quiver. Arrows fletched with a very specific, familiar pattern. In a sudden, devastating flashback, she remembers. This is the exact same arrow she saw years ago, lodged in the dead �11𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗲 soldier's body in the forest on the day her village was destroyed. Driven by a terrible suspicion, she breaks into 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗃's office and finds hidden documents. The truth, cold and calculated, is laid bare. The records reveal that 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗃 knew the rogue �11𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗲 leader sought revenge for his murdered men and would attack Joseon territory. To divert this attack away from his military posts and toward a disposable target, he deliberately framed Ashin's peaceful village. He used the gift from 𝗍𝗶𝗸𝗲 to plant evidence, directing the �11𝗍𝗲𝗍𝗲's rage onto the innocent civilians he was sworn to protect. Her entire family, her entire world, was not collateral damage. They were a sacrificial pawn in his political game. The grief that has sustained Ashin for years evaporates, replaced by a pure, incandescent rage. The real enemy was not across the river. The real enemy has been giving her orders all along. She returns to her stable, where the soldier she threatened earlier returns to assault her again. This time, Ashin doesn't just fight him off, she kills him. And then, she takes the cursed resurrection flower she has kept all these years and uses it. She grinds the plant, applies it to the dead soldier's head, and brings him back. He awakens with white, hungry eyes, a ravenous zombie. She unleashes him on the outpost, and he begins infecting others, creating a chain reaction of carnage. The plague begins here with her, as the first instrument of her vengeance against the kingdom that betrayed her. Ashin moves through the chaos with a chilling purpose. She finds each infected or dying soldier, ends their suffering, and then uses the flower to resurrect them as new monsters. Soon, the outpost is a hellscape of the undead tearing each other apart. 𝗵𝗍𝗯𝗀𝗃's advisor discovers one of the bodies with the flower residue still on its head. He realizes something unnatural is at play. But before he can act, the corpse reanimates and attacks. He flees in terror, chased by a horde of zombies until he is cornered at a house. He looks up and sees Ashin standing on the roof, watching him with cold, empty eyes. She shoots him dead with an arrow. She then systematically hunts down every remaining soldier. One begs for mercy, but Ashin shows none. She pins his hand to a wall with an arrow, leaving him screaming. His cries attract the zombie horde, who swarm and devour him. Once they are gathered below, Ashin pours alcohol over them and drops a torch, burning the entire writhing mass to ash. The first outbreak is contained, but the weapon has been unleashed. The next morning, Ashin goes to a secluded hut where she has kept a Joseon soldier captive. The man pleads for his life, but she is unmoved. She bundles him into a sack and drags him through the forest to the ruins of her village. In her shattered mind, she does not see charred wreckage. She hallucinates her family alive and waiting for her. She sees her mother, her siblings, her grandfather, even the dead deer from her childhood, all as they once were. She speaks to them gently, saying, "You still haven't eaten. I told you all to eat, didn't I?" The hallucination shifts, revealing the terrible truth. In her vision, her family are also zombies, staring at her with hungry white eyes. She says, "I never fed you good food. From now on, I will give you good food." She then empties the sack, presenting the terrified captive soldier to her undead family. The zombie visions of her loved ones descend upon the man and tear him apart. As they feed, Ashin makes a vow to their ghastly forms. "The day I kill �奧𝗲𝗀𝗲, she whispers, is the day I will become just like you." Her revenge will not be complete until she joins her family in damnation. Her final act is one of ultimate, nation-destroying vengeance. She travels directly to Japan. Using her skills, she secures an audience with a powerful Japanese lord. She presents him with the resurrection flower and reveals its secret, how to grind it and apply it to the recently deceased to create unstoppable resurrected soldiers. She offers this apocalyptic weapon to Japan, knowing they will use it in their planned invasion of Joseon. She is not just burning an outpost. She is engineering the plague that will engulf the entire kingdom, turning the war between nations into a feast for the dead. The special episode ends with Ashin standing alone in a barren field. In the distance, a group of 𝗣𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗲 tribesmen on horseback appear, the very men who slaughtered her village. Ashin watches them approach, her expression a mask of cold hatred. She slowly draws an arrow from her quiver, nocks it, and takes aim. The screen cuts to black as she releases the shot. Her story is not one of heroism, but of a victim transformed into the architect of a nightmare. Her personal tragedy now the seed of a kingdom's downfall. On IMDb, the film has an average rating of 6.9 out of 10, based on over 15,000 viewer ratings. We hope you enjoyed this movie explanation. If you did, please share it with your movie lover friends and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want a recap of your favorite movie, comment the movie name below. Thank you for watching.